my tank look like this someday? No.
No. It won't never look like this.
Ah, there it is. Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry, Ava. It'll never get there. I'm Russ Kickle, and obviously today's episode of American Reef is going to be the SanJay and Mike show. Specifically, SanJay made some changes to his large display tank, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what those changes were, why he changed it, and again, kind of the broader picture, again, especially for the new reef hobbyists. 2 points to note. Number one of the things that he did add to this large display tank was some ozone. So again, if you are thinking or considering adding ozone, make sure you don't miss that section in this video where again it talks about what ozone does and why you might want to use it. And then the second thing you'll hear on here will be, again, he added a new media reactor. I believe it is the Nios Torque media reactor. And, you know, he talks about the benefits of this media reactor, which basically it's a better mousetrap is the way I like to call it. But if you have some questions and more detailed questions that need answered as far as how it works, how it looks, you know, that kind of thing, you'll want to check out Premium Aquatics, their YouTube channel. So, long story made short, again, YouTube, Premium Aquatics, and Jeff did a product demonstration video of that Nios media reactor, so you kind of see how it works, what it looks like, what you get, and all that fun stuff. And again, it's a real nice video to give you more kind of specifics about the reactor that SanJay is talking about in this video. And again, rather than hear me talk, let's bring up that video to hear what Mike and SanJay have to say about the changes to the big display tank. What are we talking today, Michael?
We're back to another SanJay and Mike show. So there's nothing more fun than coming to visit my friend SanJay. Coming to Penn State the day after big snow is always exciting. Seeing his tank, particularly when it's blue, is even more exciting because we rarely get to see that.
Right, it's only blue for Mike.
It's the only turns to blue.
That's right.
Because otherwise it's an invisible tank. I can't actually see the corals unless the blue lights are on. So, SanJay, I was here 4 months ago, and you were starting to do some manipulations of the tank. You were doing some cleaning, some organizing. What all did you do different, or cleaning-wise, or maintenance-wise, that you hadn't done in a while? Because the tank looks fantastic now.
Yeah, I removed a lot of the dead corals. I had some corals that died off when I was fooling around with some of the treatments for flatworms. And I did lose several corals due to that.
Right.
Didn't lose the flatworms.
Right.
But you lost the corals. That's always nice.
But you also lost some corals before due to the flatworm, so it's like...
no, not really. I mean,
the blue torts or the Oregon torts, you said?
Well, I think that was all part of that whole dynamics that was changing because of all the things that were going on and the additions that were going on. So I basically ended up cleaning out all the dead stuff, and as usual, whenever there's room in the tank, I can't look at empty spaces.
Right.
So there were other corals that were growing into each other, so I had to move them, and I spread them out a little bit.
But you also cleaned your sump,
and
you
I
said?
cleaned out the sump, yes.
And you took off
I had about 50, 60 pounds of rock in there. There was about 1 inch of mulm at the bottom of the sump. I hadn't cleaned that in 12 years.
That's what I was going to say, lots of years worth, right?
Right. And you also took off your
took all that out.
Kato reactor.
That's just for right now, temporarily, because I was cleaning out everything. So I wanted to clean out the reactor, clean out everything, and basically get the tank corrected and get growing again, and it is already growing.
Now, well, how long was it not growing?
There was a period, when I was doing all the treatments and stuff, it wasn't growing.
Okay.
It stopped growing. I mean, you could tell the alkalinity started to go up in the tank because the corals weren't using as much.
Sure.
So I had the reactor dialed back to allow for that. And then when things started to improve, I forgot to reset the reactor back. So that wasn't enough. They were sucking it up really fast.
Yep.
Right.
So once I got all that set up properly again, and now it's again on an upswing. Yep.
And I was going to say, as far as months, because remember, at least I haven't been here for a year, so that happened within 12 months.
Yeah.
It was late summer, early fall that the downside happened.
Okay.
I was here 4 months ago in November. It was
Yeah.
starting to come back. It just made the
Yeah, I
changes.
just made the changes in October-ish.
Okay.
And now 4 months later, you can see the
There we
difference.
go.
You can see the growth on the edges of things. You can see things starting to encrust again. You can see SanJay's usual crazy rates of growth. But you've also made one other change in that your nutrient levels are now significantly
Yeah.
lower than they were from what you told
I don't know
me.
what happened there with all these shenanigans, but I tested my water one day and the nitrates were like not there. They were hardly there, which is really rare for me
Right.
who ran my tank at 30, 40, 50 even.
Right.
Right? So the nitrates were really low, and the phosphates were really high. Phosphates were always high too in the past, but now they were totally the opposite.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So then I started fooling around with bringing the nitrates down.
You mean the phosphate stuff?
Before the phosphates down.
Okay, now remember, a lot of new viewers, so when you say fooling around, bringing them down, how long, over what period of time?
Well, I started doing that a few months ago, and I started dosing lanthanum chloride this time to bring them down.
How much length were you doing on this size tank?
I dosed, well, initially I dosed about 30 ml over a week.
Okay.
Right, so I mix it up with RO water, about 1 gallon or a little bit more than that of RO water. Put 30 ml of lanthanum chloride in there, and then slowly drip that over a period of a whole week. And that was bringing the phosphates down. And then I even tried a more rapid approach to doing it, where I dumped 10 ml of lanthanum chloride, dripped it over a period of a few hours, and that really
Yeah, it takes
Took
the
it down
phosphate out
fast.
real
Sure.
down.
Sure. Now,
fast.
Did you also see your alkalinity drop as well?
No,
Okay.
in a big tank like this, I wasn't going to see that happening.
Yeah, but in a small
You know,
tank, I've seen
yeah,
it happen.
yeah.
Well, but did you
Because
see
not
that-
everybody has a 500-gallon tank, so
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
keep it in.
Right.
Plus, I have a huge reactor in the back too,
Yeah.
so that's feeding
Right.
it.
And you can
Right.
crank it up a little bit if you start
Right.
to see the alkalinity slide.
So yeah, so that's what I did, and now the phosphates are about at 0.1. But yeah, what happens is I cut them down to 0.06 even, and then I stopped just to see how they come back, because I'm sure it's leaching out of the rocks and the sand, and it's got to re-equilibrize again. And so it went back up to 0.18, and then I've been dripping it again, and now it's back to 0.1.
Okay.
I think,
So your goal is to keep it like 0.08 to 0.12, somewhere in that range?
yeah, I'll try that out and see. But the interesting thing is, I thought that the coral's colors would start to change.
Right.
And stuff.
Right.
They're not quite as rich or anything, or you didn't
No.
see any change?
No, I didn't see any change from the phosphate.
Really?
Well, the nitrates, I think, may have a bigger impact on the coral colors, especially the ones on the way on the top.
Right.
Plus, I also did something with my water. My water, with all those treatments that I was doing, the treatment I was adding was brown. And a lot of organic stuff to it, a lot of tannic stuff to it. So my water was kind of yellow.
Okay. Sure.
And I would take it and put it in a bucket of water and look at it, and you could see that was yellow.
Right.
So I put ozonizer on the tank now.
And it went crystal
And
clear
it
real
made
fast.
It made the tank clear so fast that it caused some of my corals on top to kind of bleach out a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it really cleared up the water.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
because
Sure.
when you
Now when I take a bucket of water and put a new bucket of water next
It
to it,
looks-
you can't tell the difference.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because whenever you do ozone or carbon, one of the things is the optical clarity of the water is much
Right.
much lower.
Right.
So light penetrates a lot faster. That's why you get bleaching.
Yep, that pavona, the cactus in the bottom,
Right.
bleached
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because light was getting to it probably
All of a
hadn't been all
sudden,
the
you
way
know,
down.
it's
Yeah.
like getting a lot more light.
Right. 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 Right.
So they're still, some of them are still adapting to that light change. But it's,
Yeah, but you've had bleaching events in the past from changing lights and manipulating things, but typically in your tank,
They all
the
come-
corals bleach and then they all come back.
yeah, they'll come back. There's
Yeah.
no issues with that.
Yeah.
Now,
They'll come back.
when they do come back, do you see a difference in color, the same coloration, or does it
Usually
depend on
it's
your
the same
nutrient levels?
coloration, but there is a difference in the nutrient levels. Has an impact on it, right? But eventually they end up with the same color.
Yeah. At the end of the day.
Because when they're bleached, they don't have much color, and as the colors are coming back, different colors come back earlier than the others.
Sure.
Like that rainbow, PC rainbow that I have
Right.
there. It never had any blue in it.
Right.
Now it's got blue in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a surprise. Yeah.
Now, have you
That
run the
blue
par
was good.
meter before and after, or anything like
I
that?
didn't, but I can tell the power's changed.
No, I know. We like numbers. We're
I
numbers.
know, I do too,
I can
but-
tell. Let's see.
No,
it's,
but I wasn't
50
expecting.
par
I wasn't
difference,
expecting such a rapid change.
Right.
And
For running ozone, you haven't run ozone in
I
years.
haven't done ozone
Yeah.
review.
Okay, hold it. Again, new hobbyist. What is ozone? How do you dose it?
Ozone is basically a hyperactive oxygen. It's O3, and it reacts with everything, particularly organics. You don't want to run ozone directly into the tank because it can cause problems with the corals being aggressive in terms
fish.
of, and with fish causing problems with gills and with taking in water or taking in oxygen. So you run it in a separate reactor away from the tank, let it break down, and then the water should be run over carbon to take any extra ozone out. But it does a miraculous job of clearing water. I mean, looking at ozonated versus non-ozonated water, there's a significant difference. As you said, in the bucket it was yellow before.
Right.
You run the ozone, it's clear now.
Yep.
I mean, we use ozone for a lot of things. He had a lot of organics or yellowing compounds in there and wanted the water to be clear.
Yep.
You can also run it to kill off diseases. Europe doesn't use chlorine in their water for the most part. They run a lot of ozone in their water to take out bacteria and viruses. It's very good at that. It's very good at taking out, as I said, yellowing compounds, of taking out algae spores. Anything that's organic that passes through an ozone reactor will take it out.
kills.
So it's something I say when I'm putting new fish in a tank. I typically run ozone on the tank because it takes away anything that's free swimming. It reduces the load of pathogens. It doesn't eliminate all of them because some stay in the tank, but it gives the fish a better chance of surviving being introduced into a new tank.
Sure, sure. And for
I don't run it through a reactor, but I inject it into my protein skimmer.
Got it.
So there, it removes a lot of the ozone gets oxidized very quickly. The bubbles are there, so there's a lot of surface area
Yep.
for the ozone to react with. And I don't run it continuously.
Okay.
You're running at
I
night or
run
during the
it-
day?
I run it for 10 minutes every hour.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
That's
round the
it.
clock, 10 minutes done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it turns on for 10 minutes and then shuts off for the remaining 15 minutes.
So if you're a new hobbyist and you're, decided to use ozone, how do you know when it's a bad thing?
When you
right?
can smell it.
Okay.
You can always smell
You
it.
can no, but when you walk down the steps and you're walking down the
No.
steps and you can smell it, and the whole room smells
No,
like lightning
you
struck
don't
here.
smell it here in the whole room.
No,
Right.
So you know he's running a
Yeah.
good low level. It's not throughout the tank. It's not throughout the room.
Yep.
When you walk downstairs and it smells like lightning struck, or how air
Yes.
smells after a lightning storm.
Yep.
That's what ozone smells like. You don't want that smell in your house because it's also bad for you. You can have respiratory distress from having too much ozone in the house. So if you can smell it constantly, it's not good for you. It's not good for your kids. It's not good for the pets. You don't want to run a ton of ozone. Like you said, 10 minutes every hour is probably a perfect amount.
Well, it's for this thing, it's perfect amount.
Yeah,
Right.
for your
Right.
tank, for smaller tanks, you may need to
The,
run 5 minutes.
It depends on the ozonizer you have and how much ozone it produces.
Sure, sure.
But I'm sure you got a big.
I got a big
Huge-
one that
yeah.
produces like 600 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
It's rated for 600 milligrams of ozone. That is way too much ozone. Right? So I just use 1/6 of that.
Sure.
So it's only 100 milligrams going in.
So yours is adjustable.
Yeah. The timing is adjustable.
Okay, the actual amount of ozone produced is not adjustable.
No.
Because some of them have adjustable ozone.
Yeah, this is one of the cheap ones I bought off of Amazon.
Mhm.
$69. I figured, anyway, I'll try it and see if it
Sure.
helps.
Yeah.
Sure.
And yeah, it definitely helps. I would recommend new hobbies jumping into ozone
Stay
right at
away,
the beginning.
right.
Yeah.
I
It's,
mean, you have to develop a feel for your tank. You have to develop a good sense of what's going to happen with it.
Right.
and as we stress with everything, the main thing you want is stability with everything. Just manipulating the light clarity or the clarity of the water was enough to change things. It wasn't
Right.
stable. If he knew how potent the ozone was, you probably would have started at a lower amount and gradually.
Yeah, because I hadn't used ozone in a long time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're using it,
And the one that I was using was doing max of 50 milligrams. And I was running it continuously, and it probably didn't do much.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But this one, when I bought it, I knew this was
Ooh.
much higher powered, and
Yeah.
I said, "There's no way I'm running this one
Yeah, all
for
the
periods
time.
of time." So I
Right.
just ran 10 minutes.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, so as I said, that's what you want to do, stable. So start off, if you're going to use ozone, start off lower, smaller amounts, and gradually increase, or start off with a shorter time. Run it 5 minutes every other hour, something like that,
Right.
so that you don't bleach out all your corals. Because
Right.
any kind of instability, as we have found, manipulating everything from iodine to your alkalinity, your calcium, ozone, all can cause bleaching events, and that's things you don't want.
And if you have an ORP meter, you'll see it. You'll see the ORP go up.
Jack up.
Yeah, ORP is oxidation reduction. It was one of the measures we used to use to see how clean the water is.
Uh-huh.
The goal used to be 350, 400. With a big ozonizer like that, you can run it over 500, 600. When you get to those levels, you get what are hydrobromates, or a bromate compound that's toxic. You don't want that, so you don't want your ORP. Because we used to chase numbers and go, we want
Sure,
higher, cleaner
sure.
water. Corals don't live in higher, cleaner, that level of ORP.
Right.
So if you do run ozone, you might want to get an ORP meter, or maybe on your controller, and you can assess how well it's working. And don't go crazy with it.
Right.
Don't
Yeah,
chase
but
the
my
high
tank
number.
used to run around 400 ORP before. I put the ozonizer and now it jumps to 500.
Like,
Yeah,
And you can
you're
see
right on
that
the edge.
jump.
yeah,
very
yeah,
quickly,
it
Yeah.
sounds great.
you know.
Yeah, because you'll see the ORP change throughout
Right.
the day.
Right.
It's typically lower in the morning, higher at night as oxygen levels
Sure.
increase, because there's a relationship between ORP and oxygen.
Sure.
So those are things to look at.
Sure.
The ORP is higher than that.
Yeah.
And now, did you notice any benefits coming out of your skimmer, since that's what you used for it? In other words, was there more skim made or anything like
I
that?
mean, I don't see any big, huge
No? Okay.
difference that way.
Now, to be honest, I looked at your skimmer. It looks lighter in color. It's not the typical dark coffee. It's more coffee with cream in it color now.
Well, it's just the adjustment on it, I think.
There you go.
You don't think it's the
They're
ozone?
not related. Yeah.
No, I don't know if that really has a huge difference.
Got it.
It may be, but it's not like that obvious that it jumped out.
Sure, sure, sure.
But I'm also dumping a little bit of lanthanum chloride in there, so that changes the type of foam that comes out a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, because
It definitely does.
your tank typically gets white when you add it, or clouds up a lot.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I add it really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I don't want it clouding up.
I was going to say,
Some people have no trouble adding it fast.
right.
I just figure I have a dosing pump and let it go slowly.
Lanthanum chloride, in other words. How does it work? I know it binds to...
It binds to phosphate and
Binds
basically
to
precipitates it out. That's why you get the cloudiness.
You get lanthanum phosphate forming
Mhm.
from the lanthanum chloride.
Mhm.
It binds with the phosphate, the lanthanum phosphate, and it binds with the carbonate to give lanthanum carbonate,
Okay.
which is what is the white stuff you
Got
start
it.
to see. A lot of it is lanthanum carbonate. That's what kills the alkalinity when people see it drop.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's not binding. There's
The
not enough
phosphate is with the
phosphate to
carbonate.
bind with, so it's starting to bind with the carbonates now,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting lanthanum carbonate forming, which starts to drop your alkalinity a little bit.
And again, so when, in your particular case, when you would dose it, you dripped it slowly, and
Dilute it and then drip it.
and
Yeah,
it
you
was
don't just
over
shoot a
months
ball of
when
it.
you were dropping your phosphates. It wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna drop it.
It was
30.
more like weeks.
Was it weeks?
Yeah, it was over weeks.
Okay. There you
And then there was one time when I said I did it fast.
go. Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And as we've
Yeah,
said,
it
nothing
did.
good ever happens to us in the reef thing. Bad
I mean,
stuff happens
luckily
fast.
nothing bad happened, but
So
Right.
we know the iodine story from last year when you had
Yeah, I
an iodine fast. So we're
overdosed
not
the
doing
iodine.
that again with the lanthanum chloride.
Yes.
so yeah. But yeah, it's easy to do it slowly, and it's better
Sure.
to always do it slowly.
Sure.
I mean, and if you want to do it long term, you can still go back to GFO and do that. That's a whole
Lanthanum
nother
chloride
game.
will get it up to a certain point.
Uh huh.
The amount of phosphate it removes depends on your initial concentration of the phosphate.
Sure.
So as the phosphate levels start to go down, you need more and more lanthanum chloride, drop it even
To
further.
get even further.
And you don't want to go to absolute
And
zero.
at
as
that
we've
time,
discussed.
now you're starting to impact the carbonates a lot more.
Right.
So usually it'll get it down to some level of below 0.01, or
Mhm.
0.1, sorry. And then from then on, you're better off putting GFO and getting it down lower. That's what most people do.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it'll get you in the neighborhood, but if you want to get to the house,
I'm happy with 0.1 levels.
Compared to where it was
0.08 to
before, right?
0.12 is
For somebody
typical.
who's been running it at almost 2,
Right.
Or higher.
Okay.
You've had it
Right.
higher.
and if it's down to 0.1, I'm perfectly happy.
Right.
But like I said, the only difference I've seen dropping the phosphates down, there is better growth.
And you had good growth before.
I had good growth before, but there's
Right.
better growth than
Yeah.
this growth.
Now, did you manipulate your alkalinity down a little bit as well, or
No,
you
it's
still
been
keeping
running-
higher
it's
alkalinity?
running at 10.
You're still
Like
on high
always.
alkalinity, but now with slightly lower nitrates and phosphates, it's still getting
Yeah.
good growth.
And now, do you think either one of those had any effect on the whole spawning? Because Mike was saying spawning is happening like crazy
I
now.
don't know if that has any effect.
Not coral
on my
spawning. This is fish spawning.
Fish spawning.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's be
Fish
clear.
were
Go ahead.
always,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
fish
yeah.
were always spawning in here.
Okay, so regardless.
Yeah, I think that's regardless of that.
No, but I think you've gotten a little more adept and more attuned to watching the spawning late at night.
Yeah. I mean, I watch them more. That's why I'm seeing it more. But I'm
Sure.
sure they were spawning.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you've had the damsels spawning forever.
Yeah, they've been spawning for a long time.
Because they live underneath. They were living
Right.
underneath the herpelita.
They live everywhere. They live
Yeah.
under here. They live under here. There's 5 or 6 Hollandies, and there's a couple of pairs of those. Once in a while, you see both of them, 2 of them go into a cave, and you know there's definitely going to be eggs because they are not fish. They like to hang out with each other.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's one of the nice things about you having substrate is you have caves underneath the coral
Right.
where they burrow out underneath and then
Right.
they lay their eggs under the coral.
So I have 5 or 6. I knew they were doing that, but I never ever caught those eggs. I mean, or they don't. You don't catch those eggs. They basically lay them on a substrate, so you'll catch the larvae once they hatch. And I have a pair of freed monies. I have 3 of them in here. I'm sure that they're laying eggs too.
And they also lay on the substrate. They aren't.
Yeah, they lay an egg mass ball in a tube or something in a cave. So they lay eggs, and I've got these yellow assessors. There's like 3 or 4 of them in here. And again, they might be laying eggs. I don't even know if they are.
Right.
No, but the big ones laying eggs are the shepherd eye angelfish
Right.
and the golden angelfish.
Those are the ones that are releasing eggs in the Antheas.
Yeah.
Right.
So those are the main ones that are right now spawning in here.
And
Those are
we're-
the egg releasers, the pelagic spawners.
And we're going to try and include some videos of those spawnings on this videotape so you can actually see them spawning
I'll
in
give
here.
you the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also has basslets over there, deep water basslets
The
spawning.
carmabis are spawning too.
Have
The
your-
joculators are still too young. They haven't got to that point yet, but they'll get there too.
See,
Because I always had joculators spawning in here before. So that was kind of always nice to watch. I had belluses that were spawning in here, but the bellus, I only have 1 female left now. So I need to get some more females and throw them in there, let one turn into a male, and I'll probably get spawning again.
and your phone and finally died, and now it's back to original white versus blue. So you turned the blue lights on just for me, but I
Right.
appreciate that.
Right.
So yeah, so it's kind of cool because it's like clockwork. You can come down. I don't have to sit and watch for a while. I just know exactly when to come down.
Really?
I come down 2 or 3 minutes before that, and right there I can see them
And
spawn.
they're
And
spawning.
you're trying to collect the larvae or the eggs in this
No,
device?
that was a larvae collector.
Okay.
So like some of those damsels and stuff I know are laying eggs. I figured, I might try and see if I can catch those.
Sure.
Do you have an egg collector as well?
No, not yet. I'm trying in the process of
Getting one.
working with some people and trying to design one that'll work in my tank.
Because then the
That
goal is for
way-
you to start raising angelfish.
Right now the goal is to get the eggs first.
Yeah.
Ship the eggs to somebody else who knows how
Okay.
to raise them.
Okay.
So I've been talking to some people at Rising Tide, and they're interested in getting the eggs. If I can give them the eggs, I said, I'll give you the eggs, but you have to help me catch the eggs.
Right.
Collect the eggs.
Right.
Right, so we'll figure out some way of collecting the eggs and shipping the eggs to them. Let them raise it first, and then they can teach me how to raise it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 'cause you've already been raising clownfish for a number of years, so
Yeah.
you know how to grow green water, you know how to grow
Right.
zooplankton and rotifers.
But I don't know how to grow
The specific.
the other things that you need to feed these things.
Oh, okay.
Right? You need cyclops. What do you call those things? Whatever the napoli of these copepods. Right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So you need these special copepods, not cyclops, copepods.
Yes.
So you need these special copepods. and you can't just feed the copepods. You need the babies of the copepods. To actually
Really?
feed them.
Yeah.
Right,
So
because
then you
these
need to be able to
fish-
collect the babies of the
Yeah.
copepods and not have the big copepods.
And these
in there.
copepods, to survive, you can't give them instant algae either.
Mm-hmm.
You have to grow the algae first, which is another step in the process. And it's not that they like the easy growing algae either, right? They want the algae that's more tougher to grow.
Okay.
Sure.
So it's one more level of work that I don't have the time for right now, but maybe Mike, who's retired, can do
Right,
that.
that's right. All those
Yeah.
free hours.
All those
That's
3
it.
hours.
I'm newly married and my wife was giving me a look like, no, we're not starting to raise angelfish.
She's already tired of him hanging out with her.
That's right.
She's
You
already
guys are
working
listening
on
here.
the
Honey,
home.
why don't you go play with that green stuff?
Yeah,
Go.
give me my space.
What do you think?
Now, speaking of spawning, speaking of spawning, you've also had coral spawning. And you've
I
broken
haven't
them
seen
off.
the coral spawn, but I've seen the eggs in the coral.
Okay.
When I frag sometimes, when I frag corals, I'll see the eggs in there.
So you,
So I'm sure they do spawn at some point, but
you
they
haven't
spawn
caught
at
it.
night, and I don't have the patience to sit through the night watching
Right,
them.
right.
So I really haven't spent too much time there.
Well, you have to talk with
But-
Jamie and get the egg collector for this coral
Well,
spawn.
I mean, the thing is, I think I have to set the moon cycle,
Right.
Right.
and I have to make sure that there's no stray light coming in. And as you can see, it's really hard to do
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, you'd have to black out the doors.
Yeah,
and
you
black
block
out the
out
windows.
everything and
Yeah.
so on, and
Yeah.
which is one of my goals again to play around with that stuff.
Sure.
So there's a lot of interesting things you can play around
Well,
with.
what-
Because you have so many fish, you feed a lot. So do you think that adds to the nutrition of the coral, helps the nutrition of the corals
Yeah,
to
because I
allow
don't
them to
really
get the
feed
size
the
they
corals
spawn?
anything that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, I get samples. I've been using Benepets a little bit here and there.
Reefroids,
Reefroids from Polyp Lab. I'll use those.
the new stuff
So-
from Tulio, from Reef Bright.
Yeah, that's the cleaner for the.
No, but he also has.
Yeah, he's got
one of the
food
things
now.
I also
Yeah.
gave you was also a coral feeder.
I haven't tried that one yet.
Okay.
I've tried his other stuff.
Yeah, it's similar to Benepets. I've been using both, and I see a feeding response from the corals from both of those, as well as from Reefroids and Reef Chili. I've been adding something different to the frag tank every night to assess the
Yeah.
how much of a feeding response I get, and it basically show a feeding response to everything. So the next thing is to assess how much of a feeding response. So that's one of the things I'm looking at.
All right. Yeah, I mean,
Hey.
but I feed my fish a lot. I mean, right now,
Yeah.
I mean, I just dump so much food in here.
But you have big fish, so you need to
And
dump
yeah,
food in there.
fat fish too.
Yeah.
And I still like the tang that came from the floor.
And he's still there.
That's-
Yeah, he
he
is.
still did save Dory.
Yeah.
He's still there.
That's right. Right. And healthy as can be. Not
Yeah, we
quite-
still laugh about him saving Dory.
Yep.
There are fish in here now that have been in this tank since I set it up.
The
The
Naso.
tang,
Yeah.
the mazo, the purple tang, the yellow tang,
Mhm.
the hippo tang.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that have been in here for
10 years plus.
Yeah. 13 years.
Yeah.
13 years.
This tank's 13 years now?
It'll be 13 this year
Okay.
in November.
13 years.
Yeah, I was thinking it was 10 or 11.
2006.
Okay.
13 this year. Oh, unlucky number. I know.
Yeah.
But you
It's a
get
lucky
beyond
number.
that. It's a lucky number.
That's so lucky.
No, but I see lots of space now because we'll be trading frags. We have frags coming in.
Yeah, let's talk about
This
that a
is-
little bit. What's the plan?
We're gonna get a set of frags each from Top Shelf. He's gonna get them the same day I do. Each one of us is gonna put them in a spot, and we're gonna assess one, how they grow in each tank, how they do, how the colors look. He'll grow them faster than me. Mine will be more colorful, but they're all colorful.
I'll be colorful under the green lights like it's
There it is.
colorful.
There it is.
I have all the colors.
Yes. Yes.
But it's a good way to assess. We have
Right.
a lot of similar things. We both light with radion lights. We both have pretty close to the same nutrient levels. We both have high fish loads.
Even the water volume is roughly
Yeah,
the
the
same.
water volume is the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the things, like I said, I'm looking at working on is possibly feeding zooplankton every day to the tank, see what effect that has.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just moving in now to this quarter to go and trace elements added every day, see if that has an effect. So there's a lot of things that we can compare notes with. That's okay. Does this make a difference on growth? Does this make a difference in color?
Right.
Because it'll be the first time I will have seen or I'll have done a head-to-head. We trade corals all the time,
Right.
as we've joked about. His corals look different from mine, even though we trade
Right.
with each other. They never
Right.
look the same.
Right.
So this will be, here they are. Here's, the proof is in the pudding, and the proof will be in the videos and the photographs. Okay, these are the 5 corals here. These are the 5 here. They don't look anything alike. Or look, they're exactly alike. Or these grew twice as fast in his tank. something to that effect. So it'll be interesting to assess
Right.
over the long term, because obviously we're not in this for a week or a month. We're in this for hopefully till we're gone.
Death do us part, baby.
Yeah, so we've hit that age where we start thinking about that, but hopefully that's 30 years or plus out. So 30 years from now, I go, look, remember when we got those little tiny frags?
If we can remember that.
Yeah, we'll both
Right. The
be in
memory.
wheelchairs here. Look at that. So it's sand. Yeah, it'll be bad. No, because I mean, there are differences. He has substrate. I do not have substrate. We're both running the same amount of lights. He runs primarily 100% white. I run 80-85% mostly blue. It'll be interesting to assess what those differences make long term.
Right. So that'll be interesting, right?
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting for everyone, for us and for our viewers and readers and everybody else.
Right, exactly. And so, okay, we were going back to changes in the tank, which you kind of did. You had your gun. Things were dying. You cleaned up. Did it all start from flatworms and what you were treating?
No. I mean, there were some corals that were impacted by my overdose of iodine before the flatworms.
That was a year ago.
That was a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that was like 14 months ago, because I remember coming in November after you did the iodine, and that's the only time I can honestly say your tank did not look great.
Right.
It was, you could tell it was like someone punched it. It just had this look like, oh.
Okay.
But then I came back in early January and I brought my daughter back to Penn State, and it was like nothing had happened.
Right.
It was back to SanJay's old tank. Everything was growing, the colors were back, because it wasn't just that they stopped growing. He lost a lot of color and a lot of the robustness of the
pastel.
Yeah, they came back. It recovered from that.
They recovered from that very well.
And then the summer, I had some issues with some corals again, a little bit here and there. Nothing major.
Right.
But that's when we found the flatworms again.
Got it.
And then I said, I was debating whether I should tear down the tank and redo it. And I said, that's too much work.
Sure.
And then this treatment was coming around, and people were talking good things about it. So I said, you know what? I'll risk it. I'll take my 5-gallon tank and try this treatment out. Worst case, it doesn't work.
Sure.
And I'm still back to where I was.
Sure.
So I gave it a shot. I gave it a good shot, and it didn't work.
Now that was 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
I was doing it somewhere around September, October.
Okay, so this is 6 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so
more than that now.
Yeah, so after everything got stressed, it took about 6 months to really recover back.
Yeah, well, partly because I wasn't doing anything to it.
Right.
Until more recently, I started become more active with it again.
Yeah, because you were traveling a lot. Now that you've been home. Yeah, that's the curse of the reef tank is travel.
Yeah.
It usually does pretty well when I travel, but
I was gonna say,
when it's going downhill and you travel, then it's not a good thing.
See, I think retirement's going to be the curse because you've got nothing to do with your hands. You're going to put them in that tank.
No. SanJay's a much more hands-off. I'm more, let's tinker with this.
That's what I'm saying. The retirement's going to be the curse of your tank.
No, it's giving me time, because one of the things that you've seen in the videos, I've also streamlined everything.
Yeah.
So I'm spending less time on the tank because it's much easier to do everything.
That's why you can now say, I'm going to add this, I'm going to add that, I'm going to add that.
But I'm doing it by quarters. I used to do it like, okay, I'm going to do this today, I expect to see something. Now I'm not making a manipulation until every quarter. I'm changing this. Next quarter I'm going to do that. So I give it 3 months to see if I see something.
It takes a while for some of the things to show up.
Yeah, my theory is it takes about 3 months to really start to see an effect of something.
Right.
So next quarter I'm going to the trace elements, because right now the tank is doing fine, haven't lost anything, everything's doing good. Now I'm going to go to small daily trace elements to see if it makes any difference.
Right.
Last quarter I went from just the standard stuff to starting to add strontium, iodine, potassium, and fuel. So I added one new set of things.
Hold it, what's fuel?
Another amino acid coral type food.
Okay.
So this quarter I'm going to be going to adding some of Brightwell's trace elements and see if those improve things in terms of growth, coloration, things like that. The next quarter I'm going to go to adding the zooplankton and see if that makes a difference. So every quarter I'm trying something, and if something doesn't work, I'll take it off. Yeah.
That's better than zooplankton.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, there was guys in Holland when I went, 10 years ago. They were just feeding their tank with lots of Artemia.
Lots of Artemia napoli, or they were growing them out?
No, napoli.
Oh, okay.
Hatch them out, and dump them in.
Okay.
Along with the rotifers. So the rotifers are smaller, the other ones are bigger. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to grow with the
whoever
rotifers.
can catch whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's
right,
what I was
right.
going to grow with the rotifers.
You know,
So,
they will just hatch out the brine shrimp.
okay.
Well, so to that point, Mike, once you catch everybody up on what you were going to do as far as growing the live food, since that's what you're talking about.
Well, talking with Sanjay, because he's been growing live foods far longer than I have, is I want to go to a real simple system for growing out live foods. We're basically going to take a 10-gallon tank, have 1-gallon little tanks in there, grow the rotifers in each one of those, take them out, add it to the tank every day, use tank water to grow it with. It's filtered.
Just 5-gallon buckets like I do.
I'm trying to have the same on every day.
Yeah.
So this way I'll have a growing in terms of time. I have time on my hands, so
You have time.
I'm trying to make it a little bit,
Retirement.
but I'm trying to make it simple and easy to do that. So that's the plan. So that's potentially going to start probably in the June-July quarter.
But they're easy to grow. Rotifers.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, I'm just going to use the frozen green water,
Yeah,
add it to that.
That's what I use, and it works great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Lenardi making a dust form again.
Yeah, you can see on the far right-hand side of the
Yeah.
tank.
He's awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It is.
Yeah, he swallows it and shoots it out.
You got visitors, they're videoing your tank. I'll mess it up for them.
That's exactly it.
I'll mess it up. Look at them. It's like,
He found where a bristleworm may be hiding.
yeah, or something or the other. He just digs right through it.
So now, when you were actually cleaning your sump out, okay, which you said you hadn't done.
Yeah, ask Tony.
Really?
Oh, Tony did the work. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Ask Tony. He did the heavy lifting on that.
Okay, Tony.
What'd you do now?
No, we're asking about when the sump was cleaned
Tell him
out.
about
What
cleaning
all
out my sump.
What all did you find? How many bodies?
Yeah, exactly. What'd you find in the sump? Because it was forever.
It was horrible. It was a traumatic experience.
It took my nitrates out completely.
Yeah, it did.
Your nitrates skyrocketed or plummeted?
Plummeted after that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I did, is that my nitrates
Yeah.
went down to like 1 or 2.
Took out the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nutrient sink.
Yeah. Okay.
And now, are you keeping your sump relatively clean?
Well,
I don't expect you to
I mean,
vacuum it
Well,
like
you've
I
got
do
that. You've
once
got that
in a
track in there too, so it's
I'm
hard
not like
to.
Mike and going vacuum and
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
I don't do
while.
any of that
I
stuff.
I vacuum mine out every 2
Especially the
weeks.
new one. It's easy to.
Yeah, it's easy
Yeah.
because it hasn't sort of adhering and really accumulating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really do any of that. But there's not much accumulation right now.
Right.
It's pretty clean.
Right. And so then you cleaned that out. You temporarily took the reactor off the Kato reactor, right?
Yeah, just for fixing a few things that
Okay.
were on it. So right now I haven't put it back on.
Okay.
It's
It's
been
ready-
off for
it's ready
like
to go.
6 months though.
No.
How long it's been
3
off?
months.
No, it was off in November when I
No,
was
when I
here.
put the ozone is when I took it off.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. When you put the ozone, do you have to worry about it killing algae like in your reactor because it's too nutrient clean, or I mean,
It could.
They probably won't grow like they were when his phosphates and nitrates were much higher.
Yeah, see, that's why I took it off too. There was a good time to clean it out anyway.
Sure.
It hadn't been cleaned in a long time. And then I also was doing some modifications to it.
Mm-hmm.
I put a flow meter on it
Mm-hmm.
so I could keep track of how much water was going through it.
Sure.
And you could assess when it was totally plugged, so you could
Yeah,
take it apart and
so
clean
those
it.
kind of things.
Ah.
And then I said, you know what, tanks are looking good right now. Nitrates are low, phosphates are low. I don't know if the Cheeto will actually grow.
Sure.
So I said, you know what, I'll just hold off for a little bit here and see what happens.
Sure.
Put it back on later.
Now, if you put it back on and your Cheeto isn't taken off, what are you going to do?
There's no Cheeto in there, there's nothing. It's sitting dry right
No, I know,
now.
but when you add the Cheeto and if it doesn't take off because your nutrients are too low
I'm
now?
gonna have to either have to start adding nutrients to the thing to make the Cheeto grow.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
That'll be interesting from the
Right.
tank with phosphates through 0.4.
Yeah, so for me, this is a whole new phase because
Right.
nitrates have never been that low.
Right.
I cannot remember a time when they've been that low.
So now you have low nitrates, the flatworms are under control, so when the corals start growing out of the tank, what are you going to do?
Frack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, any other changes? In other words, calcium reactor still the same?
The same. Oh yeah, I added a new piece of equipment.
Which was?
I added these Nios reactors.
Okay.
to hold
to hold carbon and phosphate.
Okay, well,
And GFO.
They're pretty cool reactors.
you already had 2
I
reactors
know,
before.
my reactors were cracking. and
Okay,
stuff
so
like
you
I read
replaced
those.
those with the
And I added
new
this new Nios
Okay.
one,
And why are they cool?
which
What's,
is kind of neat because it's got a base to it,
okay.
Right.
which houses the pump,
Okay.
and it's got these columns for the media.
Uh-huh.
And you can just twist it off and take off the whole column, replace it with a new column.
Ah.
and it's convenient.
These are external. They don't sit in the sump, or these are
They
in
sit in the sump.
They sit in the sump. Okay.
Yeah, so water just flows out of there into the sump.
Oh.
Okay.
They're pretty nice.
So that takes the hassle out of unscrewing and all that.
and I've been looking for easy things.
Yes.
And this is one of my other easy things that
Yeah.
I've added.
Yes.
So they're nice. It comes with a little dock.
Okay.
It comes with the tubes.
Mhm.
Actually, comes with 3 different sizes of tubes,
Oh,
depending on the
okay.
size of your tank.
The
Okay.
size of the pump you could run on it.
Yeah, the pump is the same.
Pump is the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can just dial down the flow.
Oh, so it's just drawing water from the sump. You're not pumping water into the
Nope,
sump.
nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope, I got no extra hoses needed.
Well,
Nothing.
yeah, beautiful.
Just
Well, that's
unplug
nice.
in.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'll show you later.
Yes,
It's-
yes, very much so.
I like it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got 2 compartments to it. So I put carbon in one, I
So
put phosphate
GFO.
remover in the GFO in the other one, and go.
home run.
Or, the first time I ran with GFO in the whole thing.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
Ah, they built a better mousetrap. That's
I
good.
know, I look at all these things and I go, is it going to make my life easier?
Yes.
The answer is yes. I'm
Right.
willing to play with it.
Right.
That's why I've done that whole new tank. My life is so much easier, and I spend so much less time
Yeah.
doing simple things.
Right.
I mean, when you can clean your skimmer out in 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half, you do it more often, and it's much more efficient.
Yeah, especially for yours. So
Yeah.
you have to use
Yeah,
to go
that's
underneath.
The key. The key to being long-term in this hobby is to make things easier for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can enjoy something like looking at the tank instead of
Right.
having your hands in gunk or trying twisting stuff off or trying to make it. I mean, for manufacturers, the easier they make it to maintain,
Right.
take things off with a little.
Yeah.
Versus some of the
Quick
screws that I've had that
disconnect.
ripped my fingers to
Quick
shreds.
Right.
disconnects and all these little things that really add to
Right.
the maintenance of these things.
The
Right.
ease of maintenance of these
Yeah.
things.
Right, right.
Because nobody likes to spend time doing things that aren't fun. And if it's not fun, you're not going to do it.
Right.
It doesn't have to be miserable, but it just can't be, okay, this is going to take 5 minutes, I know that, or this is going to take 15 minutes. But you're 2.5 hours into something because you can't unscrew it, you've used every piece of equipment you have. That's
Right.
not a good design.
Right, right.
And we've all had equipment like that. It's not as bad now as it was, but there's still some bad equipment out there.
Yeah, yeah. To your point.
So that's a good piece of equipment to have.
Yeah, an easy to use media reactor.
Yeah, and I don't usually have anything in my sump. Everything is
Right.
inside my sump.
Right.
I have
Yeah.
enough space in there.
Well, now you don't even have the rock in there. You got rid of all the live rock
there's
that was
lots
in
of
there.
space in there now. So I put that in there. I still don't like going underneath there.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be nice if I had it higher up, but
Yeah.
Right, like I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But that one is nice. I can actually put it in my overflow.
Yeah.
It fits in there.
Does it really?
I've never asked you this. How big is the pump that does your return through here? How often are you turning this over through your
Well, they
sump?
were darts.
It's only
weren't
one
they?
dart.
It's only one dart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing like 4,000, 4,500
Oh,
gallons an
there's
hour?
no way it's doing it.
Okay, so like
By the
3,000.
time
I was
you-
being,
yeah.
I was being complimentary
With
to
a
dart.
12-year-old tank, the pipe's full of crud.
Yeah.
It's not doing. It's
Half.
probably doing 2,000.
Okay, so you're basically doing 4 times the tank volume per hour through your pump,
Yeah.
through your sump.
Yeah, that's the only thing that goes in through the sump.
Okay.
The
This is
skimmer-
the original
skimmer-
dart? You're still running a 12-year-old dart?
No. No,
Okay.
no.
No, they
They're
were-
all being replaced.
Okay. I was going to be really impressed.
No, I still have 3 darts on here, and after that disasters I had with them, I got rid of 2 of them.
Right. The seals broke, right?
Yeah, the seals broke on them. On one, the seal actually literally broke and I had a flood.
Well, you don't have any closed loops on here anymore.
The closed loops are there.
Okay.
Those darts were the one that bothered me the most
Because when they're
because if
seals
they
went-
go
yeah.
right, it
There's
drains
a
my tank.
lot of
Right.
water, right?
So those 2 darts I've replaced with the Vectra pump.
yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Right. But this main one is still running a dart, but that one is not that critical because if it dies,
It's only
it's
gonna
only
take
going to
until
drain
everything
off a
overflows.
little bit of water and that's about it.
Right.
Right. And I have enough flow in the tank to keep it going.
Right.
So that's the only reason why that is still there. Plus it's a brand new pump I had bought. So it's got some life to it.
Right.
But instead of buying the original dart, I bought this dart snapper hybrid or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if that goes now,
You gonna go to a Vector as well?
Yeah.
no, I may probably go to this. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, okay, something big.
Yeah, I drive everything else with it too, so
Oh, okay.
I'll make multiple returns and
Yeah. And okay, so as far as changes, besides the meter reactors you put on there, the
Cleaning the
thing
sub,
yeah,
cleaning
the
the,
sump.
yeah. Skimmer's the same skimmer.
it's the one he built
The one you built. Okay.
on his little bench 15 years ago.
Okay.
More than 15 years ago. That skimmer's been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
He's one of the original downdrafts. After they came out with downdraft, he built one, quote unquote, better, but it has worked phenomenally well
Yeah,
for his
it
tank.
has.
For
It ran with my old 180 gallon tank, and the same skimmer is running my 500.
Yep. Well, and Americanreef did a couple studies on again recirculating versus and downdraft / recirculating, that whole combination rolls every time. They've never found a situation.
They all
where it
work.
hasn't. Yeah.
they all work. All depends on how much you feed and how much you take out.
They all
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
And they all, do good enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean,
Like I
if
said,
you,
it's not going to make your water white.
yeah.
no,
Not when you have a lot of
ozone, you can't make his water white out of
No.
ozone.
Yeah.
Carbon gets you somewhere there, but ozone gets it over.
Takes
the
you
top.
to the
Takes it
next
over,
step.
polishes it, right?
Yeah.
It's a good polishing medium.
Good deal. Good deal. But, so that sounds like a good wrap on this particular tank, and then we'll kind of follow that up whenever you guys get the corals and top shelf and
Yep,
that sort of thing.
that sounds good to us.